Welcome everybody to the first episode of Rocklaz Radio's talk shows. Today we have with us a famous artist, art historian, a very accomplished in real life artist and successful NFT creator, Golara Tavakolian.
Thank you so much, Tanmay. Oh my God, you did that too. Thank you so much. Um, I'm here to answer all of your questions. That would be actually really glad to finally talk about who I am, what I've been doing, and what I've written so far, what I've done, and everything. All,
Absolutely.
all the achievement.
For our podcast listeners uh, and others here, this session is going to be divided into three parts. First, we'll get to know about Golara personally, her story, and her journey as an artist. Then, we'll get into the art history aspects and her works into arts and NFTs and history, and take in some question, have a what do you say, rapid fire round, and so on and so forth. And let's see where the branches turn out in the conversation. So, welcome everybody once again. If you are hearing this and you want to follow Golora, links have been mentioned in the description, and you can all the links to her link tree as well as the links to her articles, Twitter, and all those links are available here. If you want to join this conversation next time with next episode, please follow Rocklaz on Clubhouse and stay tuned. Awesome. Welcome once again. Golora, how are you today?
Oh, thank you so much. I've been actually having a wonderful day. I started my day in a really good mood. So, thank you. Thank you actually for inviting me over to talk about my words.
Amazing. Thank you for coming. It's an honor to have some artist and historian of your stature to come for the inaugural episode of our talk show. So thank you. Thanks to you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. How are you?
I am good. I'm good. Doing this, I'm feeling happy. So
Isn't it amazing?
absolutely. Okay. So Golora, please could you introduce yourself and tell us about you and your journey as an artist?
Oh, sure, of course. Okay, my name is Golara Tavakolian. I'm an Iranian painter. I was born in 1991 and I studied graphic design and art studies, or in the other name, art history. And it's been almost 4 years that I actually moved to Istanbul, Turkey, and since then I live here. And what I can tell you that I have tried so many fields and so many majors, from graphic design to museology to art history, and right now it's painting, and to be more specific, it's more NFTs. So it's been almost 10, 11 months that I've been involved with the NFT world, and ever since I am focused on it and trying to create, and also at the same time, share all the things that I've learned to my Persian community. So, about March, I started learning about NFTs, even though I heard about it in 2018 while I was doing some artworks. I had an exhibition, and someone came to me and he said that I love your artworks and I want to buy some of them. And I said, oh, of course, that would be like amazing that you want to actually collect not only one, but few more. And he said, yeah, I want to buy 20 of your artworks. And I was like, what? And he said, yeah, and do you mind if I pay you by Bitcoin? And I was like, what? What is Bitcoin? And I'm talking about 2018. And that time I was like so focused on history of art. And as I said, I was working in a museum. It was Time Museum, full of antique furnitures and clocks and etc. in Iran. And when he said Bitcoin, and I said, I have honestly no idea what is it. So later I started learning about it by asking my brother and some friends, and they said this is amazing that you're gonna be paid by crypto. And I said, okay, I'm gonna go for it. And so, longest story short, I sold my artworks, 20 of them, to a collector by Bitcoin. And 6 months later, I decided to move out. I decided to move to Istanbul, Turkey, and that's also a quite journey and quite an story. But to just say that 6 months later, when I moved to Istanbul, I met someone who's actually was specialized in blockchain, and he told me about NFTs. That was the first time I heard about NFTs, and specifically about like what's the affection of NFTs on blockchain, and this, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. But the story honestly was too good to be true that moment for me, so I decided to pass. And but always it was part of my mind, just a little. I had like little tiny spot for it in my mind. But in 2021, in the beginning of 2021, when I heard again about NFTs, and I was like, oh my God, that was the thing that one of my friends actually told me once. And wow, this is the moment. And since I was quite familiar that time with the cryptos, I said, okay. And I remember almost no one knew about NFTs in my Persian community. And there were only very, very few people like Dear Ali Sabat or Dario Deceno, which is half part Iranian, I think, and some very little more people. And I said, okay, I'm gonna actually share whatever I learned to my Persian community. So this is how I started opening the first and the biggest Persian clubs called as NFT Art Society to talk about NFTs with my Persian community. And it was like a quite a breaking moment for many people who actually heard about NFTs. And I felt like, okay, I moved to another country. There were I had so many hard times in my own country, so many good and so many bad at the same time, struggling about selling my artworks and being actually an independent artist is quite hard, especially in Middle Eastern countries, when you want to pursue your dreams to do like figurative artworks. And there's so many things affects, and there's so many things comes to your way in order to not helping you to do whatever you want to do. So I decided to go against all of these things. I said, okay, you had some sad memories, but this is the time to, give love to those people who actually maybe never been loved before. So I really wanted to share the idea of helping each other, and that gave me the best feeling ever. And I've always wanted to being a teacher, so that was kind of really helping me out to also making myself being more happy. Anyways, so that club started in, I think, April. But before that, even in March, I was, being in different rooms with crypto people in Persian community talking about NFTs. But in April, I decided to open that club. So, yeah, that's the, summary of who I am, what I've done, especially for the past year.
Talking about NFTs, could you share about your projects and give a brief about what you're doing?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for asking, man, Tanmay. The thing is, so when I started studying art history, I realized there's a lack of figurative artworks, especially the classical one in our contemporary time. Many people see this as a weakness, but in my opinion, it's like it should be highlighted more. Uh, it should, get more attention. So that's why I felt like we should actually value figurative artworks more. So I decided to inspire and actually work on those, let's say, for 17th century artworks that right now no one knows about them, or especially in Middle Eastern countries, and many people don't appreciate that much. And I decided to use those figures in order to create something new, in order to create something more contemporary. So I tried to make my own story, and I decided to add more stuff into my figures. Let's say there is one artwork that I made. It's called Playus. I actually wrote the story. It's called actually the Goddess of Games. So the Goddess of Games is after one of the figures that very well-known French artist in 19th century made it. But I wanted to make it more bold, so I designed it with a quite different dress. It was black, and she's actually has worn a AR, 3D glasses, and she's in a different background, stand on a quite, large coins, and she's holding an iPhone, and also PS4 handle. So I know the story that I wrote about, like I tried to go into the Greek mythology and created something quite different. Like we know, Zeus has a lot of daughters and sons and everything, but this time I decided to actually create another version. I called that Zeus had a daughter named Pleius with a mortal human. So I made a new story. I made a new creature, and I'm actually really proud of that. And I've done it so many times with other artworks that I've done. And I decided to actually mint these works on blockchain because I think they should be appreciated more in our contemporary time. So this is what I've been doing. I've done some other works such as limoncello. So we know there is no goddess called as limoncello, but I made one, and I named her as limoncello and actually minted it on Ethereum blockchain. So yeah, this is what I've been doing on my NFTs, but at the same time, I recently joined the Solana chain for the very first time, which actually I'm really excited about it. And again, I did a mythological figurative artworks.
Thank you. Could you describe to us the artworks you mentioned, how they might, so people can visualize that, and where they can find it on Foundation, on OpenSea, or on what platform they can find it?
Oh, absolutely. You can find it on my foundation profile, foundation.app/Golara, which is my name. I sold this artwork, many months ago. The play use limoncellos and many. There's only two available on Foundation, and those are actually somehow mixed with the history and mythology again. But the first one is called actually Pixelopos. I decided to mix the figurative and the classical artworks with pixels. This is something that I really appreciate, to mix things together, and I believe like this is the time we should do in order to get to actually value more artworks in this way. As I said, there are so many artworks belonging to the old times which are undervalued, and I think we should value them more. Yeah, if you want, I can share the link or.
Oh yeah, we can pin it on the top. I'll do that. I've I'll pin your link tree. Until then, I've if you look at Showtime, there is this bullish goddess. So there's a goddess riding on a bull, and she has go Bitcoin on her back. That's an interesting work. And all of your other works on Showtime, which I'm seeing, are a lot of mythology mixed with current times, and it's very interesting to see that.
Oh yeah, I love mythology, and this is something that I enjoy those stories when the science and dreams and all the fictions mixed together, and we have done it so many times through our history. Even thousand and thousand years ago, we've done it, since even the caves, like we know that they have done so many amazing things. And this goddess of Bitcoin, actually, she's one of the works that I really adore because this is actually a commission work. One of my really dear collectors who actually has got so many of my artworks is Polish collector, and he asked me to paint him a goddess of Bitcoin. So I said okay, and then I got disappeared for months or two because I was just focusing on what should I do. And after 1 month, I came back to him and I said, the goddess of Bitcoin, this is what I actually wrote to him. The goddess of Bitcoin must be seated on a bull, like she is always bullish. And he was like, oh my god, this is perfect, you should go for it. So I was working on this piece for several months because I wanted to actually paint it on oil on canvas, because he wanted the traditional version, the physical artwork, and at the same time NFTs. So that work had quite a journey, and at the end, since he's from Poland, I decided to actually paint a tattoo of a Polish flag on her arm. So if you just zoom in on the goddess arms, you can see actually a very unique eagle, which is actually a flag of Poland, old version of course, and at the same time mythological. So yeah, that's the story. She must be bullish.
Absolutely. I love the concept and your thought process behind it. So, talking about thought process, how do you start making art? This was commission work, but in general, what is your thought process? Do you wait for your creative idea, or do you just start, or what is your process?
Honestly, sometimes it depends to my mood. But what is always important for me is to have one figure in the middle of the creation. Either is a human figure or a cat figure. So it's really important for me to have a story with that figure. Um, I have actually a work. It's called Under the Caspian Sea, which comes from my childhood story. I was born in a city near to the Caspian Sea, and I remember I was once almost drowned into Caspian Sea. And Caspian Sea is a very mysterious lake. Honestly, it's completely gray, and we know it's not connected to any big seas. Even though we call it as the sea, but it's like the biggest lake in the world. And the color you see is so unique and so mysterious, and many people lost their lives in the Caspian Sea. And I'm from Iran, and Iran has like quite a background, quite a rich history. So in my works you might see some historical ruins there, as in this work as well, like there is a sphinx from Achaemenid time, a 500 BCE work of a statue there, which is also drawn, which is also in the under the sea, with this lady, which is so different. Like, you know, we know mermaids could be in different shapes and forms, and this one is so different. And many people at the beginning was so shocked, like they actually commented nor messaged me like, this is not the way that we should actually portray a mermaid. And I was like, why not? Have you seen one mermaid before? And you know, mermaid is a mythological creature, and they criticized me of not making a normal mermaid. And I was like, what is normal mermaid? So the story that I want to share is that first I might work on the figure, depends to the version that I'm going for it. Sometimes the works could be really dark, or some could be more colorful, but I'm so interested in green color, and sometimes I go to my green mood. Um, but at the same time, there is one specific range of pink color that I normally use. But when I go to my dark color, which is actually something that I think I'm more powerful on it, it's more grayish, kind of. You see, like there is some inspiration of Caravaggio on it. Of course, I'm just like a pinky of Caravaggio. I'm not that, you know,
what is
professional.
what is a Caravaggio?
Like Caravaggio is an Italian artist in 17th century, and he's one of the person that I own a lot. Like, I am so appreciate of his talent. Like, he is the one and only Caravaggio. He had quite a life. He had quite a story. Um, he has done so many things in his life. Like, he experienced many bad things and good things at the same time, and he passed away when he was very young, um because that, you know, he's you know, when you read his story, you will realize, oh my god, this man was quite an artist and quite a madman at the same time. But 17th century's artworks, the Baroque style, has inspired me so much. And but my weakness in my artwork, which I'm actually trying to learn more and more, is to play with more bright color, to more colors in my artworks, pink, green, and even blue in my artworks. This is something that I'm trying to study and learn more. So I'm trying to first focus on the figure that I'm trying to use, and then I make the background, and I might add a little bit of part of history or mythology on it, and I try to write the extra, and at the end I just look back at it, and maybe I you know, ask a friend's opinion on it, maybe not, because that happened to me, that when I asked someone's opinion, things went worse. So I rather to, you know, keep the version more original, to be more my own opinion these days. But it has happened before that I asked friends' opinion before.
Uh-huh. I wanted to ask the next question about your profile picture on Twitter. It's a monkey lady with it's a human lady with the face of a monkey. So, what is the story behind that?
Oh, that one. I've been waiting to talk about that one. So this project is called Bored Ape Ladies. And this project is started literally after the first day of dropping the Bored Ape Yacht Club artworks, the OG ones. The owner of this project is one of my dear friends, Nova Crypto, and she's been working on this project ever since. And so far, they have dropped three projects, like the October, November, and December. I was part of December and November project. And we do derivative artworks. We do works based on the OG apes that she actually owns. She owns like four apes and four mutant apes. And we try to make artworks based on those OG apes, the original ones. And this latest work of mine, this profile picture that I own, is actually based on one of her apes, and she's actually holding one of the chemistry board ape works, which is called M2. So few months ago, the board ape club, they dropped three serums. They airdropped them, they gifted to their holders. And the first one is called M1, and the second one is called M2, and the third one is called Mega. So in my first board ape lady's work, I painted M1 serum in my ape hand, and also she has a tattoo. She has a tattoo of the logo of the OG apes. And for the second draw, which is actually my profile photo, this lady, since we are really near to Christmas, I wanted her to be more Christmassy. She's holding the M2 serums, and she has the cocktail dress, and at the same time she's actually wearing a heart-shaped shades, which is inspired after the ape 2055 that I've used. So yeah, that's the story. And there's so many people, so many talented artists who actually been working on these derivative arts based on their own style, which this has made this project very unique. And we are so proud of the ladies who actually join. Of course, men and women both can, attend and be part of this art residency. But the apes that we are going to design should be ladies. So this is something that we are so happy to share with our NFT community.
Thank you very much. So, people listening to this in future, now you know how it started and the story behind it. And when it reaches the top, like Board 8 Yard Club and the Pixar CryptoPunks, you'll know what was the story behind it. So, it's a good time for you. If you're listening in current, you can go and get it right now, right away.
Thank you.
So, Golara, our first interaction was with a tweet where you tweeted a question asking, "How old is your soul?" And my reply to that was, "Older than the mountains, younger than the sea." And your reply was, "Not that old, but as old as humans started when they started painting."
Oh my
So,
God. Yes, I remember.
that was a very interesting tweet. Then I got to know that okay, you are a art historian and such an interesting thought and amazing person. I definitely want to go in detail about art history and her personal artworks and life. So could you lead us first through your journey as an artist, like your time in Iran, how you decided to become an artist, and then so on and so forth?
Oh, thank you. Of course. As long as I remember, I was always interested in art, and almost no one in my family were artists back then, at least. My mom, she owns actually a beauty salon, and my dad's work is about like textile and fabric. So they were like indirectly somehow connected to visual things, but it was never something directly connected to the art world. But I remember when I was like 4 or 5 years old, my dad used to tell me bedtime stories about his trip to Italy, to Florence. And I remember this story specifically when he told me about his the first time he saw the Michelangelo's David work, a statue. And the way that he described it to me was, you could see the blood is still alive into the vein of the statue. That much he wanted to say, the statue looks alive. And I was like so impressed with those stories. And my dad loves book, and he had a small library in our home, which was so covered with contemporary and some stories about like Charles Dickens, or one Iranian author, which is right now one of my favorites. The stories are about kids and things like that. And so my life started like that. But I remember when I was doing paintings, even though I remember they were so simple and so like normal as a kid, but they used to like congrats me so much and giving me the moment of, wow, you did a great job, what a beautiful work. They were like talking to me like that, and so they gave me the energy to continue this journey. And after some years, when I got 6 or 7, I was sent to some private class, just to play with colors and things like that. But when I got 14 years old, I decided to finally study like art. Even though I was from a very small town back then in Iran, was living in a small town, as I said, in near the Caspian Sea in northern part of Iran. I There was no high school class for paintings, but it was only related to either architecture or graphic design. So I had to choose between architecture and graphic design, and I chose graphic design because I felt I can maybe do something with that in the art world. While I was studying graphic design in my high school, I was going to drawing classes. And once I had a really bad experience, to be honest. The professor that I was, the professor who was teaching me drawing, he wanted to, I was underage, and he wanted to um, more from me. So I left the class, and I cried for several days. Like I was so, only 14, and it was a horrible experience for me that someone wanted more from you. Thank God that didn't happen, but that made me to forget drawing for several years. And I got stuck to graphic design up until the age of 27, 20, 23, 24, when I finished my bachelor degree as a graphic designer. Even though we had some drawing or maybe illustration classes, but I was just doing it because I had to do it. I wasn't doing it by passion. I just wanted to design posters. I had my first international exhibitions in Peru in 2009, but I almost forgot about paintings and drawings. And while I was studying graphic design, I felt like there's something wrong, and I wanted more, but I couldn't remember what is it. I couldn't gather my thoughts to see what should I do with my life. So After I graduated and I did so many cover arts for many famous Iranian musicians, such as Yas, a very well known Persian hip hop artist, rapper, or Devays, a very well known and of course underground rock group or some pop artist. After designing those cover arts, I felt okay, maybe I should do something more with my life, and that's why I decided to study art history. And so I started gather all my books. I started like reading every sentence with details, and memorizing like so many books and everything, which I am so proud of doing so, because that was a self study of entering the Tehran University of Central Branch back then. And while I was studying art history, when I was, I think, 25, I felt like, oh, maybe that's painting that I'm forgetting. So you can't believe it, but after almost 11 years, I finally decided to buy some paints and paint everything which is in my heart, not because I have to, not because it's something based on my class, because I have to give it to my professor. I did it for my own, and I just faced the memory I had when I was 14, that awful experience that I had to go through as a kid. So finally, I faced that fear and I said, you are good enough and you have to do it. And this is what maybe you should continue doing in your life. And this is part of your journey. So I started doing paintings. Then the first painting I did, it was a lady. She was half naked, and one of her breasts had a cut, because I dedicated this piece to ladies with breast cancer. So a few months later, I found out that there is a competition in South Korea, and if I send my artwork to them, if they accept it, there will be an exhibition in National Science Museum of Gwacheon in South Korea. So I said, I have nothing to lose. I already have done the painting. Maybe they like this painting. Maybe they wanna, exhibit it. So I shared this painting. I sent it to this View Art contest in 2016, and oh my God, they accepted this artwork. So I shipped the artwork, which was, the painting was half naked, and I'm from Iran. And back then I was living in Tehran. So many shipping companies didn't accept to ship this painting, and they gave me quite a hard time. They told me that I have to go to the culture Ministry of Art, actually culture, the Ministry of Islamic arts, in order to get a permission for shipping this painting, which, they could have torn this art, torn this apart. They could have destroyed it, and they would have if I've gone. So I didn't. So I asked many people to help me, and at the end, someone after 2 weeks helped me just to ship this painting to South Korea. So, but he told me, I ship it for you safely to South Korea, but sending it back to Iran, that would be a huge mistake for you. Don't do it. They're gonna destroy it. And when it comes to the border. So I said, okay, sure. And this painting went to South Korea, and it was exhibited in National Science Museum, which was quite a dream for me. It was 2016. Oh, thank you so much. And but I was in touch with a friend in Greece, so I told him the story, like this is happening to me, and he said, "Don't worry about it. You can actually asked them to send a painting to Athens, which he was based in, and I keep it for you. And when you come to Greece or either Turkey or some countries nearby, I bring it to you. We meet there. I bring it to you, and you can take it back home or whatever you want. I said, "Are you sure? Wouldn't be a bother?" He said, "No worries. I keep it for you." You won't believe it. I did it. I asked the National Science Museum to send a painting to Greece for me, and they did it. But after a few months, so the situation got worse in Iran, the sanctions and everything, and that was the time. That was the time that actually Trump was the president, and he withdrew the thing that they had with Iran, and so
So
I
they had
was
imposed
like,
a lot of economic sanctions, and they
yeah.
totally wanted to boycott Iran. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah, yeah, and the situation got worse in Iran, and even we had quite an inflation. So I felt like, oh my God, I'm working in a museum for four years, and no one appreciating all the hard works that I've been doing, and I'm doing everything. Like even the galleries don't want to show my artworks, and I'm still having a lot of problems with having international exhibition about shipping my works, and they want to destroy my paintings. Maybe I should go somewhere to paint peacefully, to paint these figures peacefully, and just live a life like a normal person. So I moved to Turkey because it's so near to Iran. I could see my family, my dear parents and friends and family. And my brother is also based in Istanbul. So I moved to Istanbul, and at the same time, I started continuing this journey of doing paintings. But I asked that friend in Greece to send me back the painting, and he said, no. I said, what? He said that you gifted to me. And I was like, no, I didn't. You told me that you keep the painting for me. Anyways, he refused. And I had almost one tough year to to take the painting back. And at the end, another dear friend in Greece, she is a lawyer. She helped me to finally take back the painting that I own. And longest story short, dear Tanmay and our friends, our audience, this painting is at the end of 2021. These paintings is not in my hand still. She's actually is with my cousin who is based in Greece right now. But you can't imagine how hard it is for me to not having something which I own with me still after 5 or 6 years. So that's the story of someone who has difficulties about censorship and shipping their artworks and doing figurative artworks in Middle East. So I know many people have some horrible stories worse than me about actually had to destroy their artworks in Afghanistan after after the Taliban, or many people even in countries like Pakistan or Iran had, worse experience. But that's the reality, and I just wanted to be the voice of people who actually have suffered just like me or even worse. This is the real situation.
so your story has been like an artwork, uh, going from different places, facing a lot of hardships and censorships. So thanks for that. Then after moving to Turkey and Istanbul, how was your time there, and how were things there?
Um, I got so many commissions artworks. I have done the biggest works in my life, which is a 6 meters into 2.5 meters painting. It's a big scene of a Roman battle, full of figures, the classical version. I mixed so many 19th and 17th century paintings into one piece, and I paint them over. It's acrylic on canvas actually, and after that I got commissions over 34 mural paintings. And this is something that I have never I could do. I started doing mural
Golara,
paintings.
you have put the work in your Twitter photo, right? I can see you sitting on the artwork and horses and Roman goddesses fighting. There's a war scene and smoke, and you're sitting on it.
Oh yeah, I'm sitting on it. I was actually laying on it to work because the work was really big, and working on it on my studio, which is not so big, was quite a time. I had quite a experience working on that piece because I had to roll the paintings from two sides in order to, continue working on it. And sometimes I had to lay on it, I had to sit on it. So, it was acrylic on canvas, so I wasn't so worried. If it was oil on canvas, that would be a horrible thing to experience. Yeah, that's the work that I mentioned that I did the biggest work of my all time so far. But
Where is
after
that
that,
work now?
this work is right now in Germany. The collector lives in Germany, and this dear collector owns almost five works of mine, and two of the biggest canvas I've done. One is like 4 meters into 2 meters, another one is 6 meters into 2.5 meters. Yeah,
That is huge. So,
yeah, these are huge and took
how,
so many months, Tanmay.
how did this collector discover you?
Actually, through my dear friend, he was like apparently talking to him about artworks, and he said, "I'm so interested in arts," and he said, "Well, I know someone. Maybe that person could be a help." And he said, "No, I like classical artworks, like those who are in palaces and churches." This is how he described it, and he said, "I think she can help you with that." And so they came to me and said, "You do mural paintings, do you? Don't you?" And I said, "Yes, I do. But what do you want?" They said, "Well, we want it not on a mural, but on a canvas. Can you do it in big size?" I said, "Yeah. Well, there is no difference for me. Maybe less neck pain, but I can do it." But I said it takes some time. They said, "No, we are okay with it." So this is how they found, and it was honestly, I believe in miracles. So that was a miracle for me because they helped me through my journey living in Istanbul.
Wow. So, for the people who are from non-arts background, what is the difference between a mural and a canvas?
So a mural painting are those paintings who actually exist on a wall, or are either a wall or a ceiling, but those who actually on the canvas you can move them anywhere, but those things who are on the wall you cannot move them easily. And of course the medium and the base of the place that you are working on it are also different. You have to use different techniques, you have to use different ways of make sure that this artwork live there for quite some time. And giving this having this background of art history actually helped me to experience more and do things that I've always wanted to do, and just to put my small small feat into great artists' works, those who I actually admire the most, those people like Michelangelo or Titian or some others who actually have done so many murals. Um, it was quite an experience, and to be honest, it wasn't easy, but I was so passionate about it. And I remember I've done 24 mural paintings in 9 months, after and after and after each other, because it was a huge project. I was doing it in a private villa in Istanbul, so it was quite a work, but it took from March 2020, 2019, up to late November of 2020, and 24 paintings, all murals.
That's a very quick time for painting, I would say.
Yeah,
24
but
paintings
but
in such a short
honestly,
time.
yeah, I had to do it, and I had to do it by myself because they were in a rush. They wanted to move in. It's a private villa. And I've done two of those ceiling paintings on their bathroom. One of them is top of their jacuzzi, which was, I was so worried about it, so worried. I was like, I was begging them because it was like dangerous. There are a lot of humidity, and I was like, we have to protect them somewhere. Of course, I did some stuff to, protect them with because of the light and the humidity, which is so much there. But part of my heart knows that this work could be like destroyed by passing time. So I did one thing. You know what I did, Tamai? I actually NFT'd that painting. The
Yay!
one,
I want to give a
yeah.
clap for that.
Oh, I love the drum. Thank you.
I was just thinking, I wish we get to see them. I hope you have documented them. And there you go. So, where can we see them?
Now let me share the link with you then, because I actually NFT that piece on Foundation. It's a goddess of Venus with her allies. I will show it to you, which is my own interpretation of the birth of Venus. And she was, according to Greek mythology, she was born in an island in Cyprus, out of the sea, and one part of the another god of body. I'm gonna actually share one of my link with you here. So let me see. So the link that I just shared is the part that I'm doing a painting on that ceiling that time. You can find more videos of it on my Instagram while I was working on those ceilings and mural paintings or some other works. This work is really dear to me because, living near to Cyprus, living in Istanbul with the history and, the beautiful nature gave me to, have this painting surrounded with seagulls. Um, you hear seagulls in Istanbul all the time. That's why I decided to paint seagulls in this painting as well. Because I thought, okay, maybe I see seagulls right now. Maybe, almost 2,000 years ago when they were writing the story of Venus, the birth of, Venus, she was also surrounded with seagulls as well.
Lovely. So, are seagulls your favorite birds?
Yeah, you can see them.
And
Yeah.
what is your favorite animal?
Oh my God. are you really asking me that? I love so many of them, but as you know,
Cat
I
is
am
on the
not a.
top.
Of course, Tommy. There you go. I love cats. They have quite an attitude, you know. They're so moody. They act like gods and goddesses, like the deity, and they used to be worshipped like that. And right now they're ruling our houses from our canapes. You know, they sit on the furnitures and they like feel like they are the king of the world, or they are like the princess of the world. So they have quite an attitude. Then so many of them are so sweet. And you know, I cannot deny the fact that in Istanbul many people love cats and dogs. They're so kind with animals. Like even in my, you know, in my street, there's so many like people having like foods for cats. They buy foods for cats and dogs. They go to parks and feed them. Even the government help them to be feeded, and they live everywhere. In subways, in public transportations, in restaurants, they sit on the chair, and no one even dare to move them. They basically are the ruler of this historical city. So that really inspired me to do this Big Boys collection. You know, I call this collection Big Boys, and I hope I'm going to. I'll be dropping one very soon. Another more,
So cats are royalties in their own rights.
right? They used to, at least there were gods in ancient Egypt. You know, since ancient Egyptians used to worship them, this could be something that means something, right?
Absolutely. I
The thing.
find. Sorry, go ahead.
You know, even there is a story of a battle between Persians, ancient Persian and Egyptians. Persians once actually conquered Egypt, and apparently they used, because they knew Egyptians worship cats, they used cats in order to attack the Egyptian army. They got so many cats and put it into their hands in order to attack them. And when the Egyptians found out that Iranians, the Persians, actually having cats in their hands, they decided not to attack Persians. So this is how Persian actually won one of the wars with Egypt. So you see,
Wow, that's very interesting.
yeah,
Winning a battle with cats.
they were
you make
worried about cats.
you make all the cat owners proud. So with the Persian question, could you take us through the history and culture of arts in Persia, Iran, and places around it? As you worked in the museum as well there.
Oh yeah. Well, Iran has a really huge history through like thousands and thousands of years. We have so many evidence of, even if we go before like the time. There are some actually places that a human existed with making artifacts, and we know that there's some very strong links with the people who actually lived in the geographical part, which is right now we call as Iran or even Persia, with the ancient Mesopotamia. So we are not sure um, if it's the oldest civilization or not, but there is one place that we actually, which is a really important factor, is called a Giroft civilization, which is in in the southern eastern part of Iran. This Giroft place, there's so many beautiful artifacts have been found, belong to even 11 and even 12,000 years old. And there is one artifact. which is really unique. It's actually made of soap stone. It shows actually the ancient character, the ancient mythological character of Gilgamesh, holding in one hand one stone and in the other hand the tree of life. So in this artifact, which is really important, we see the oldest story of the one that human ever written. We know for the fact that like this story is related to Sumerians, but we're not sure how we see it in Iran. So this could actually help people to, think that maybe it's one of the nominated places that we can talk about, like you know first civilization ever existed. Of course, there are some other nominations in Turkey, or even in Pakistan, or even India and some other places. But at the same time, we see like if we go to the later time, when we talk about like a Canadian empire, which for the very first time Cyrus the Great gathered many nations together, and he gave them the freedom of speech and beliefs in order to worship whatever they want, and to live freely and peacefully, to travel. And he actually helped actually the Jews to go back to their own land freely, with whatever they lost during the wars they had with Assyrians and Babylonians later. So Cyrus the Great and his tablet, which is right now in Britain Museum, is one of the things that we actually really proud of, because this is the oldest version of human rights. While we know for the fact many kings and rulers in ancient times used to be so proud of things that they have done and killed and destroyed through their times, Cyrus the Great was the one who actually was so proud of helping and giving peace and freedom to people. So he is the joy of Persian history, and things that actually have achieved for Persian, and right now we know as the Iran country, is so important for us. And in 1,400 years ago, Iran, actually Persian Empire, which was called as Sasanian dynasty, they lost the war, and they were conquered. Persia was conquered by Islamic Arabs, and ever since Iranian, had to change the religion to Islam, and many things changed. So figure artworks got banned and censored and not valued anymore. And on the other hand, animals and plants got valued. That's why you see, and of course architecture, things that are not related to human figures and human bodies are valued more. So that's why you see beautiful Persian architecture during the Islamic time up until now, and toys and things like that are valued in Islamic Persian history, and Persian architecture through the history, especially after the Islamic time, actually affected on many cultures and shaped Islamic architecture, especially the mosques. So that was quite a journey for Persian arts, from the ancient Persian architecture, which Sasanian Empire architects were so good at it. They were quite an engineer and architects back then, but that helped the whole world to shape the whole architecture. And at the same time, as I said, because of the Islamic censorship during the Islamic time, human figures didn't appreciate much. They didn't appreciate it, and they rather to do work more on plants and geometrical shapes, or even at the end animals, but they didn't even do more animals. But during the Safavi Empire, which I'm talking about almost 400 years ago, um, all the artworks got set free from the religious point. We see artworks dancing humans on not only books but also on walls for the very first time in Iran story, Persian story, history. And Safavi time was quite a time, because Iranian for the very first time decided to let the Europeans give them the art medium. So for the very first time, they experienced working with oil paintings. That was quite a time, quite a breaking moment for them. So that's why we see a lot of palaces covered with mural paintings in Iran 400 years ago, I'm sorry, during the Safavid time. And after that, in Qajari time, with mirror works and architecture, and of course, so many Persian kings traveled to European countries, so they exchanged ideas. But when the Renaissance happened, the Italian Renaissance happened, that also happened in Iran, which is, I'm talking about like 400 or 500 years ago. So when that happened, there is one artist called Kamaluddin Behzad. He was working on Persian miniature artwork. And for the very first time, you see, even though he did it all on books based on Persian poems, but the human figure is the main character. So we see humanism also here. At the same time, we see it in the European art form. The rebirth of human figures, setting free from religion. We see it also in Iran. So this is quite a time. And right few years after that, we see it on murals and palaces and everywhere. There's so many artists such as Reza Abbasi in Safavid time. They actually had he had quite a school and teaching many artists in order to continue his way. So we go after Safavid time to Qajari time, which is almost 200 years old, up until 100. They ruled. We had 8 kings there, and they also helped our artists, but many things actually lost their power. But at the same time, they actually focused on a special way of doing paintings, which was mixed with European style and the Persian style, the Persian miniature. So that also led people to continue that, Persian way of creating figures into contemporary time. So there is one very well-known school in Persian, which is called a school of Kahvekhane, which is like coffee shop schools. If I'm going to translate it to English, that might be sound silly, but in Persian, there's so many places that people used to go and sit drinking tea and coffee there, and they used to read poems to each other. And at the same time, you see a lot of paintings of religious kind of paintings of their imams and holy characters in Islamic characters, those Islamic characters, and you see those paintings, but those paintings are in the style of the old version, but you see only very few remains, very few details, very few symbols there, but at the same time they're still alive. And thank God to the digital art for and the time that we live in, that helped many people to actually mix again calligraphy and actually the Persian miniature with the artist's own perspective to create more with the help of course, technology and applications and, well, of course, Photoshop. Many people ruin things. Many people destroy the fact of valuing beautiful artworks. But at the same time, many people created amazing artworks. So it's quite time when we come to, contemporary time. My thesis in my master degree was about actually cover artworks, cover arts of music in contemporary time after the revolution of 1979. And while I was working on it, I realized, oh my god, there is so many cover arts of many famous Iranian musicians. The best and well-known one with an awful design, but at the same time was like, no, at the same time there are some with really good design and mindset on it based on the music. So it's quite a unique time. We see it also in NFTs. When it comes to NFTs, when we're talking about NFTs, we see that too. You see like some really different works, and at the same time you see, okay, this is could not be seen as much, maybe so new to our eyes, but at the same time you see there is something special about that artwork. And honestly, that really helped them, my thesis actually really helped me to be more open-minded about the journey of contemporary art. So I'm just gonna give you the title of my thesis, if you're interested. It's called The Study of Analysis of Persian Music Album Covers After the Revolution of 1979. So I wrote it, I think, in 2017. Yeah.
Awesome. I'll ask you now specific questions from all what you said. So, starting in the beginning, you mentioned Gilgamesh, so that is Lord Ganesh. So, I was very curious to know how did that happen in Persian or that area?
So, as you know, the Epic of Gilgamesh is an epic poem of ancient Mesopotamia, and for the very first time, they found some works, some parts of the tablets in Babylonian library, and then they realized there are some parts of it missing, and then they found it in later layer of the earth, and they found out, okay, this is Sumerian version of it, because as what we know right now, not ever, but at this moment while we're talking in 2021, we know that the oldest civilizations is Sumer in ancient Mesopotamia. But we know that could be wrong. It could be, as I said, there are some other nominations of older civilization. It could be either in southern part of Iran, that Jiroft part that I mentioned, city of Jiroft. Actually it's called civilization of Halil Rud. Halil Rud is actually a river in that part, and there's some evidences, even a tablet with words and some written text that we actually haven't had the opportunity to decode it yet. But there are some tablets, and unfortunately, because of the situation, many people stole those artworks, and you can also right now see those artifacts of Giroft in private collections, even in some museums, which is so unfortunate for us, because we know that they shouldn't be there. Anyways, so in Giro, which seems really, oh, sorry, you wanted to say something.
I was asking how is the artistically depicted, visually depicted Gilgamesh in Iran? Because in India, Ganesh statue is a human body with a elephant head, and we have a lot of mythological stories around it, and so on. And it's a very auspicious deity. So
Oh,
how is Gilgamesh in that region?
Gilgamesh. Yeah, Gilgamesh character is a bit different than Ganesh because Gilgamesh is a half god, half human, and he was quite a ruler back then. And if you go check out you know, the characters of this person, he's actually is interested. He has a best friend. It's called Enkidu, and he lost his best friend, and he decides to find a way in order to go to underworld, to the world of deaf people, in order to take his friend back. And for finding a way of also, he also tries to find a tree of life during his journey. And there is one very unique carved relief of him. He's holding a lion in one hand, which is, I think, right now in Louvre Museum. Please go check that one, which is so unique. But in the one that I mentioned in Iran, is there is a vase have been found in Jirov, southern part of Iran, shows Gilgamesh holding the tree of life in one hand and one snake in the other hand. And we know the story of tree of life and the snake and how these two are connected with each other. And there's one human all the time between these things, one human who's pursuing to find out the tree of life, or that special plant. And at the same time, there is one animal, especially one snake, who's trying to eat that and trying to achieve that sooner than the human version of it. So
Yes,
Gilgamesh actually found this in, Gilgamesh found the tree of life, but he was resting. And while he was resting, and a snake came, and a snake ate that tree of life. So this is how he couldn't, take back his friend. So it was quite a story. So that's why I mentioned we see that a special, story on the ways that have been found in Jiro, which actually, when they tested the ways, they found out it's 11,000 years old. But the oldest version we have about Gilgamesh is 5,500 years old. So that's why that helped many people to realize maybe there is older version of Gilgamesh story. Maybe, since we know where is the origin of Sumerian, some people suggest, some experts suggest that maybe they uh, they were from southern part of Iran, and after some time they moved to Mesopotamia, because one of the kings of Sumerians, in one of the tablets, they say we are from the north of the Southern Sea. So what is the Southern Sea in Iran? It's actually Persian Gulf. So this Giraffe place that I just mentioned is on the north of Persian Gulf. So there are
uh,
some hints.
that's so interesting. Now, Jirov, Mesopotamia, Babylon, and Sumerian. Where are they geographically, and what is their chronology in time and history?
So Giro, we are not sure. As I mentioned, it's in the southern part of Iran. If you just go to the map, there is Iran, and then in the southern part you see the Persian Gulf. And if you go to the, based on the now version of the map, you see the Persian Gulf, the Gulf of Oman, and in the left side of the country you see Iraq. And in that part, you see the Mesopotamia in center and south, and in the north, it was Assyrian back then. So we know they were like different. And of course we have like quite a story when we're talking about like Assyrians, but Sumerians. But we know for the fact like there were first Sumerians, and then Akkadians, Babylonians, and then Assyrians. But also we have New Babylon, and things like that too. But
And
after that, the
what
last
about
one,
Mesopotamia?
Mesopotamia is called the whole place. Like the whole place is called the whole place that is um
The whole
uh,
region. All of these come under Mesopotamia.
yes, you would call it like part of, like mostly it existed in Iraq, part of Syria, part of Turkey, this part
Hmm.
mostly. Yeah,
So you mentioned
part of
very
Iran.
interestingly about Cyrus the Great. So
Yes.
how was art in that time? And in India we have Parsis. So Farsi speaking people from Iran. So Parsi, and the religion is Zoroastrianism. And there's a very symbol of them which is very frequently seen. It's like a to the wings and a man sitting in between. So, could you tell us about Cyrus the Great, art in his time, Zoroastrian religion, and that particular symbol?
Oh, of course. So Cyrus the Great is actually the founder of Achaemenid kingdom, Achaemenid Empire, and we are not sure about his birth. His birth is somehow mixed with mythology and things like that. We are not sure about that part, but he was the ruler of the Central Asia and some part of the Western Asia as well. And but we know after him, all the kings in Achaemenid Empire, they actually they got 60% of the dried lands in the known world back then. So it was the biggest empire of all time. And I'm talking about like Darius the Great, which is one of my favorite character, and some others. And they almost ruled for 330, if I'm not mistaken, years. And then after that, Alexander the Great conquered Persian Empire, and things went into the Greeks' hands for some time, for 17 years, and they had some battles with Persian, and then Persian got back the country. There were like few small like places called back then, but then we have Sulukians, we have Ashkanians, and then at the end we have Sasanian Empire, which I mentioned, like Sasanian lost the empire by the conquest of the empire by Islamic Arabs. So the thing about Cyrus the Great and what happened about the art is like when he got the power, so Persians back then, like people who actually lived on that geography, had their own style, and it was mixed with Aramean style, which is right now part of Armenia, and we had some style in the central part of the Persian geography. But after that, we see the King Darius, he decided to actually invite many artists from different part of their own land in order to come to the main center to create something big. So what did they do? They invited artists from Assyria, Assyrian style. They invited some artists from Egypt, even Greek, even though they had some problems with Greeks even back then, but they appreciated the art. So they invited many people from different parts in order to mix them all together. And they made one very unique, they of course made many things, but there's one unique place. In Persian, we call it as Takht Jamshid, or you can find it as Persepolis. It's actually a very unique architecture. It was probably symbolic place for celebrations and festivals and things like that. It was not a place to live or rule. It was a place for celebration and festivals. So it's all covered with amazing columns, big ones, and for celebrating Nowruz, the Persian New Year, which Iranian have been celebrating it for thousands of years, and yeah, they did that to mix that, especially with Assyrian artworks. So for example, Lamaso, which is a unique mythological character in Assyria, you see the Lamaso with 3 feet, but in Persian version of it, on Persepolis architecture, we see Lamaso with 4 feet. It has more balance here.
Excuse me, can you describe the Lamazio which you're talking about? How visually it looks?
Oh, yeah, of course. Lamaso is actually a mythological character. He actually has a face of a human, and also it has a wing, and it has a body, if I'm not mistaken, of a horse, or like it's a hybrid, it's a hybrid of human and animals. So some countries describe it in a different forms, but mostly it's connected to some zodiacs or some things like that. It's mixed with bulls, sometimes it mixed with lions, but mostly in Assyrian version it has a body of a bull or a horse. It's better to say bull maybe, and a wing of a bird, probably eagle, and a human face. So this is Lamaso in Assyrian period. Assyrian period, I'm talking about like 700 BCE, something like that. But in Iranian version, the Lamaso has different face. So this is something unique that we can see in Achaemenid Empire. And at the same time, the columns, like we have the griffin, which I actually used a griffin in one of my artworks, the one which is called Under the Caspian Sea. As I mentioned, there is part of it in the left side. There's part of griffin, or that sphinx, which is a face of an eagle with the body of a lion. And I used that one in that artwork as well. And also the one that is actually my profile photo. It's a mix of Roman girl with actually a wreathen. It's a Canadian rig. It's such a coincidence, but I did that. This actually, you see, there's a saffron flower in her hand, and also there is a form of a vase with lion-shaped vase near to this lady in this profile picture of mine. And there are some saffron flowers and saffrons in that vase. This vase is called actually a wreathen, and this is an actual artwork of Achaemenid Empire that time. Right now, that artifact lives in Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City. I decided to, somehow bring this kind of history in my artwork, those things that many people forget to mention in the artworks these days. But I somehow use the figuratives and, more visualizing kind of things in this way, more objective things, just to, be a reason to talk about history and mythology.
Absolutely. So it's so incredible. You're bringing in culture, history, and mixing it with technology like NFTs and creating a fusion so that people remember the historical things as well as it's new and relevant to the current times. So it's amazing to see this. And once again, I would remind the listeners to see her Instagram for these all amazing pictures she's describing. So, Golora, when after this period when the Islamic rulers came in and a lot of ar- ge- uh, geometric figures are famous in that region. Calligraphy is famous in that region because we had a lot of people from Iran coming in India, and the monuments they have built have wonderful calligraphy and geometry in the architecture. So, could you shed some light on that? And also about carpets. So, I see and hear, and a lot of amazing carpets are made in Iran and that region.
Oh, of course. Thank you for mentioning that. So there is one oldest carpet that human ever found. It's called Pausary carpet. Right now, it's in Russian Museum, if I'm not mistaken, which is such a unique work of art. It's covered with so many beautiful mythological creatures, and apparently it was made in 500 BCE, which is almost the same time as Achaemenid Empire ever exists. So there's some connections about those characters which you can see on that special carpet, and Persian characters which we can find on Persepolis architecture. So these connections are really important because we're not really sure who made those that beautiful carpet, but we know for the fact that there are some connections. So maybe Persian helped them, or even Persian actually made that carpet. So that much this story owes, but the thing is, like, we know that there is one very unique carpet in Sasanian Empire. It was in Taga Castro, which is in Taga Castro palace. It was once in Iraq, and right now there are only very few remains of it. You can find it in Iraq. This unique place once had a very beautiful carpet, and after the conquest of Persian Empire, Arabs actually destroyed it, and each actually took part of that as part of the souvenir of the war, maybe I can call it like that. But there are some historical evidence about what happened to that carpet, that they just tore it into different pieces, and they just gave it to each officers who actually was part of that war. Anyways, so we know that Persian didn't make the carpet for only 100 years, but also for thousands and thousands of years. So at least we can say that because of the fabrics that they have been found, all different parts of the woods. So the carpet is such an important thing, making fabrics and making carpets for Persians, and they have tried to keep that alive. But after all the things that happened to a handmade artwork, same happened to carpet, and right now it doesn't have a very good place. But there is still some people who actually appreciate handmade works. They try to keep the carpet handmaids alive by making it via silk or things like that. This is about carpet, but at the
So,
same time, yeah, please.
carpet in this region, or people, for our listeners, is something that we roll on the floor, and sometimes these are so beautiful that people even hang it as paintings. So, can you visually depict what is on a carpet and what are the uses of a carpet?
Oh, so in Persian, we use carpet for different purposes. I remember when I was a child, my grandma used to cover one of her walls with one carpet. That much important it was for her, that carpet. It was so unique for me. I was a kid and I honestly don't know what happened to that carpet. I should ask my, my uncles and my dad what happened to that carpet, because after my grandma passed away, I've never seen that carpet. So Persians actually we sit on the carpet, we sleep on the carpet, we have done many things on the carpet. Last night, as I said, it was Yalda night, and it was like Persians, even ancient Persians used to celebrate the longest and darkest night of the year, and we all the time used to sit on the carpet, on the floor, actually sitting on the carpet and celebrating it, this festival. And what I can say, like, we, of course, we cover the floor, but as I said, we use it for different purposes. But we not only have carpet, we have different kind of things, like we call it like rug or things like that. In Farsi we have different names. I'm sure you can find it even in India, with different versions, which are so beautiful in their own ways. As like, you know art has traveled a lot everywhere in different places, from Iran to India, from India to Iran, or other places to other, lands. So that happened also to carpet as well. But Iranian also helped Anatolians, or it's better to say Turkish people, to grow their own way of making carpet. So about 200 years old, they started making their own industry of making carpets. So they started, ruling the industry world of carpets that time. This is how they stole the heart of Europeans by making carpets. Even though we've heard a lot about Persian carpet, but these days many people actually know Persian carpets via Turkish version of it.
Okay, thank you. And moving to the calligraphy and geometric architecture, some juicy points on that.
So, as I said, when the Islam came, they actually banned figurative artwork. So many people who wanted to express their own feelings, they decided to do it in different ways, via geometric way, via making plans or designing toys, and the art version of it with different forms. But one of the most interesting way of expressing their own uh, visual creativity was designing the book of God, as they believe. So that was something that Islam actually focused the most
Are
after.
you talking about Quran?
Yes, I'm talking about Quran and about different ways of designing Quran. So we have one important thing, which is first the Quran and the writing, and at the same time we have the architecture and its design. So when it comes to Quran, we know that Iranian used to do like designing. They had their own way of designing alphabets, but Arabs were more stronger because they were like amazing poets back then. So we know Arabs were so strong in making poetry. But when the Islam came, they decided to design the Book of God, the Quran. So the Arabic alphabet has actually 28 characters, if I'm not mistaken. So that's why they started designing it in different ways. So we have the way of designing, it's called Kufi, which is from a city of Kufa. And that Kufi form of calligraphy also has so many branches. So we have a Kufi from like northern part of Africa. We have Kufi of architecture, which is some like a brick and with unique form of shapes and etc, and so on and so on. So but something which is so interesting, each of these ways of designing calligraphy, you can see it in different times. So many of them are Arabic version, but the one which is started in Persian, I'm gonna go with Nastaliq. It's about 500 years old form of designing, which is like the unique version of designing in terms of all the curves and the forms they used. So it's called Nastaliq. I'm gonna pronounce it one
Can
more time.
can you visually describe the design?
So it's I must say it's Perso-Arabic version of scripting, and I can say so in Persian way of writing and Arabic both version, um, all the alphabets they could be connected with each other, so this could actually help them to have more curves. So for example, it depends of course, but vowel also cannot be seen much in Persian language. So how can I say, I think the way of describing it with a lot of curves, that could be a good way. But also you see a lot of dots. You see a lot of dots, which is finding a way of actually um, somehow showing the words could be also meaning different. The alphabets could have different meanings. So S and Sh both can be written just like that, but they can be differently appreciated with only dots. So if the S version of Persian alphabet has three dots, that becomes share. So it's, I know it might be somehow confusing, but if it was visualizing, it
Yes,
would be
yes.
easier for me to
So
describe it.
people can see this in mosque or some Islamic countries they go to. I'm sure you'll be able to relate to that. When you mentioned Kufi, I it came to my mind about the Sufi culture or tradition. So how popular and prominent it is, because they are more open and they are into music, dance, and art. So what kind of art could you
So,
elaborate on that?
the Kufi version actually is not that much connected to the Sufi and the Sufi's dances. But what is more connected, it first started with souls calligraphy, if I'm not mistaken, because souls is actually an Arabic version of calligraphy, and it's one tree of it. It goes up. So it has a curve and it goes up and up and up. So the form is so dynamic, and it all goes to the sky. This is something that we can recognize the soul's calligraphy. And one thing that I can tell about souls, which is also connected to Sufis and Sufi dance, is called the bride of the calligraphy, the Islamic calligraphy, and it's because it dances. And so it dances, it's connected. But after some time, we know that changed. And right now, if I'm not mistaken, Nastaliq is the main part of Sufi's dance, because of the idea and the believing of Sufistic people, because of the Maulana, the poet, and the person who was really bold in his opinion, Shams Tabrizi, which was an Iranian character. He was from Tabriz, a city which is still exists in Iran. As you know, like more than, if I'm not mistaken, 98% of Maulana's poems are in Persian language, in Persian, in Farsi. So yeah, I think Nastaliq and Shekas Nastaliq, another version of Nastaliq which came later, almost a century later, are have have more a stronger part of Sufi culture, because many of people during that century started writing and practicing Maulana's poems while they're doing those calligraphies. So I think this could be somehow connected, but I'm not an expert on that part, so I rather not to go further.
Okay, yes. So, fun fact, uh, the language in the Arab region and Persia, it's the writing is from left to right. So the book opens bottom up. From just a fun fact to share, um, leading to the thing you have done masters in about music and music covers. So could you say some albums or bands we should hear and describe some fun album covers of theirs?
Well, yeah. First of all, I designed several cover arts for some Iranian music bands and musicians, but mostly they're famous in order to be underground. The thing is that if you want to be have the freedom of showing whatever you can do, you have to be underground, at least in such countries. In Iran was also the same, so I was interested in working with some underground artists, and one of them is called the Ways Band. My bachelor degree thesis was about their covers. I actually designed 17 covers for them, and you can find them in one of the most famous Iranian music website. Is called radiojavan.com. We can find some of their musics with the covers that I designed for them. And after that, I designed 3 covers for one of the most Persian hip hop artists. It's called Yas, YAS. And I designed, I think, more than three. I'm sorry. And there are some covers that I designed for some pop artists, and some also one for metalhead group of actually metal band, yeah. And it's called the person who's actually it's called Aryan Naini. He's quite famous in Persian community, underground metal band. And there's so many others who actually have done many beautiful jobs to design covers and to be involved with music industry. But honestly, it could be a little bit challenging, because so there are so many ways of censoring your artworks. There are many things that they can lead you to not to show what is important for you. So that unfortunately can happen all the time for you in Iran.
All right. I'm going to take the links to the metal band and the other website you mentioned on the back channel. And it's fun to imagine metalheads in Iran. It's equivalent to knowing about a metal band playing in church. So it was a church spiritual metalhead band, and they were rocking their heads, and it was fun view to see. Okay, so from Iran, let's move to Greek and Roman. So a lot of your art is having Greek, Roman mythological characters. So is it because of the commission and what the collectors asked you to do, or was it out of your interest for that mythology and those sculptures as well?
Honestly, it was all me. I wanted to do it that way because as a person who lived most of her life in Iran, which you see so many different artworks. The artwork in Iran is so different than the one that you mostly see in Europe or the Western world, I might say. Here you see a lot of, as you mentioned, carpets, calligraphy, Persian musics and Persian arts, like those who are in books and for based on poems and things like that. But I wanted something more. I wanted something different, and I wanted human figure. So that's why I was so passionate about Italian style, and especially since my father talked about it while I was a kid. And he was describing his trip to Italy about those characters that he saw. That just went into my mind while I was a kid, and I was all the time imagining how angels would look like there on the churches or the palaces and things like that. But of course, after some time, I started traveling and studying, and so I felt like, oh, that's much closer to my mindset. So that's why I decided to paint in this way, because I wanted to share the way of thinking, um, the way of thinking of artists in 17th century, things that many people have forgotten about right now, and things that it is so closer to my own opinion. So that's why I decided to actually make my own artworks based on their artworks. So though they created many characters, I used those characters in order to create something more. And many have done it before. Many have done it ever since, like, maybe ancient times, in Greek ancient, and after that Roman. So the whole idea of Renaissance, I believe, it was based on the ancient Roman and Greek style. They went after those, and they decided to rebirth those characters. So I think um, this is what I wanted to do. And while I was doing it, especially during the blockchain time, I said, why not? I should give these characters another birth. So yeah.
Wow, amazing. So, who's your favorite artist and why?
Oh, that's a really tough question, Hamad, because asking such a question from someone who is half art historian, half painter, could be quite challenge. But there's so many artists, even during the contemporary time, that I appreciate a lot, not just because they have actually quite a different style, but I should say that there is one is called, like, I cannot deny this, that I love Michelangelo. I admire his talent a lot, and at the same time Raphael, and at the same time Caravaggio or Artemisia Gentileschi in 17th century, this beautiful lady with her amazing talent. Artemisia Gentileschi is actually, I named one of my artworks after her. She's called the Lady Gentileschi, the first version of the work that I made for Board Ladies Club. She's holding M1 serum. I called her Lady Gentileschi. Um, there's so many, even about the modern time. I who can I say? Jackson Pollock. I admire him because of not using the brush anymore. I admire him a lot. In
That's a
Iran.
surprise because he's totally abstract, and you are totally into figurative. So, how do you like
Exactly.
Jackson Pollock?
Exactly. That's the thing that I want to, that also surprised me as well. But it's not just that, but there's so many people that I admire a lot. Like Mark Rothko. Mark Rothko, like the way that he created those amazing painting is just like a way of making me just feeling quite different. The way that he made that chapel, the one with full of dark painting, also for me it's just an amazing work. And I believe his life was an art movie as well. It was an art journey as well, like the thing that he did. So yeah. And about contemporary arts, I would say I admire Jeff Koons and Damien Hirst, especially Damien Hirst, for things that he have achieved, and especially for the things he has done even in NFT world. As you know, he has actually joined the NFT world as well with the collection of currencies. But if you know that he just recently has had an exhibition in Borghi's gallery in Italy, this shows me that this artist can do many things, and this is what I like admire him the most at this time. But at the same time, there are so many interesting Iranian artists. During the modern time, I would say. Bahman Muhassas is one of my favorites, or Leili Matin Daftari. She is one of the most amazing person that I had the pleasure to meet her artwork. And she was quite unique character. She wasn't she didn't talk much about her artwork. Many people even don't know her, but she was amazing. And these are about like modern one, and about the contemporary one, the one which I admire a lot, which was one of my professors, called Qobat Shiva. Golar is an Iranian painter and graphic designer, and I had the pleasure to be one of his students when I was 17 and 18 years old. So he's also one of my favorites.
Who are your favorite NFT artists?
Oh, that's quite a question. There's something that I actually I want to mention, someone who's quite in a different style, if you don't mind. And also one time I even tried to buy his artwork. His name is Hamid Ibrahimnia, and he's a visual artist interested in what can I say? Well, he plays with a lot of things that exist and at the same time not exist. So one of his amazing works is called ETH mining, which I tried to, bid on it. I did bid on it, but it wasn't. At the end, I lost that bid. I overbid it. This work is so interesting because it mentions history and at the same time is. So if you go to his profile, you see there is a pyramid, the Great Pyramid of Giza, and some when a spaceship comes and tries to mine Ethereums. So that was kind of like amazing point for me. So he's one of my favorite artists, but there's so many, so many Iranian, non-Iranian, so many amazing talents out there.
From the Iranian community and Persian community, whom are the uprising artists you would like us to go and have a look at?
Of course, I would say Hamid Ibrahimia is one of the most talented one in his own version, but there are also so many others. But about like generally speaking, there's some others. One person who actually admires me a lot. It's another artist, which is not Iranian, but I would like to mention this person because the thing that he did with Esma Contract is called BT. And when I found out about his artwork, and I was like, oh my God, this person is so unique. And I must get to know more this person. So I've been following him ever since. And I just take a look, please take a look at his artworks, the works that he creates. It's amazing, mixed with music,
Can
visual
you spell his
arts.
name?
BT, one B and then T.
BT on BT Arts, or how can we search?
Just B and one T, like two character. B and
Hmm.
T. BT.
Brian Wayne, known as initials BT. Is he a DJ, singer,
Yeah,
songwriter?
he's involved with music, and he's involved with music a lot, like so much. I will share his page with you. I will definitely do that.
All right. And some artist whom you have discovered, okay, these people are not famous, but you spotted out the talent and whom you think we should go and see now and support.
There is one that I actually recently admire a lot. Her name is Elnaz Mansouri. She has quite an style. She's a 3D artist. This person, I actually love her style, the way she is trying to create, playing with colors and forms. It's so feminine yet so unique. I really like her voice, and she's just so peaceful, just trying to do her works. I really like her style. Yeah, I would
Can you
say
spell their name?
Elnaz
Hmm.
Mansouri. I will share that one with you too.
I am seeing her Instagram. Wow. Amazing 3D work. Yes. Wow. Okay, so Golara, what are your plans now for new projects, and what do you see yourself creating? Do you want to experiment in new things, or what field are you planning to explore?
Well, what I've been doing these days too, I want to focus more on my own collection. I want to work more on my big boys collection, and at the same time, I'm actually planning to work with few artists, which I haven't had the pleasure to do collaboration with artists. But what I've been busy for the past few months to create a project with few artists. One of them, I'm not going to talk about it right now because I'm not sure how we'll end up, but something that I would definitely do is to do a collaboration with a 3D artist. Is a very talented Iranian one, amazing soul. We think um, so perfectly with each other. So I'm gonna actually do that. And at the same time, I would love to get involved with programmable art. I know it's been a few months that I'm trying to learn more about it, and honestly, it's not easy for someone who has been involved with only art community all the time, and trying to get out and going into um a script word is not easy, to be honest. But I'm doing my best to find out my way of taking my work into another level, since I'm involving with NFTs and this technology. I would like to get involved with this technology. I think this is very important. This is essential to do it at the end. But as you know, NFTs are not going to go anywhere. So I'm just taking my time into just just learning and growing. And of course, painting is not my main major, and I would love to grow more into this field as well. So I'm just trying to taking my own steps and doing things that I think it's good to do it at this moment. So I hope in future I'll be able to take my art in another level, in another version. I have never motionized my artwork because I felt maybe if I do it, I'm not good enough to do it. Maybe I cannot do it in a good way. So I said, okay, I'll do 2D paintings, and when it's time, either I do a collaboration or I learn it by myself. So who knows, maybe in 6 months or 1 year or 2 year, who knows where and when. But I would definitely love to experience more and do collaboration with more artists. Even for those mural paintings that I've done, I did it just by myself. It wasn't a teamwork. So teamwork is something that I'm really um, excited about, but at the same time it's so challenging for me. I have to uh, dig more into that to see what people want, and I want to get more adopt with the whole situation and their plans. So it's an achievement for me, and I would definitely go for it. But as I said, the project that I've done with the Board Ape art residency, it was such a unique experience. So we were sharing our artworks because we wanted to support each other, and this is what we've been doing. And if we see an artwork get sold out, we just cherish for that art and the artist, because it's an achievement for each of us. So I would love to see that more. So I might do more collaboration in future, and probably do more art residency in future. This is what I'm trying to get at it. But I hope at the same time I travel more and experience more, and bring more art from different nations into bring different stories from different nations into my artwork. This is something that I really want to do. It doesn't matter what happens to it. This is something that it comes from it comes from the bottom of my heart, and I would love to do it. So the latest artwork that I did, and I actually minted it, a Solana chain. It's actually based on a Thai mythology. So I'm really actually happy to do it because it's about actually a character of a deity. It's called the Banana Lady. So yeah, I want to bring more you know history and mythology from different lands and cultures and nations. So I hope I'll be able to
I am
do it.
seeing Banana Lady. There's a woman in greenish shade and color wearing a white dress, and her face is made of hands and plants and an eye in between. So, where is the banana in this?
So if you just zoom in, you see the hand is in the shape of a banana, which is like peeled off
Oh, yes,
before.
yes, yes, yes. Now I see.
Yeah. And in different countries, banana has different colors. So there are some, people who actually love to have like these kind of banana color. So it has quite a different, but at the same time, this non-Tani character in Thai culture, she's actually a fairy of banana tree. And
Oh,
yeah, and even in India, people were like, banana could be really valuable for one culture or one religion. So they gift the banana to the gods and goddesses, or they actually eat it in order to get more, god kind of power. So yeah, this is what I
Yes,
wanted to.
banana is very popular in India, spiritually, religion wise, also for day to day use. We offer it to deities. It's have it as prasad. And another fun fact is, in a lot of South Indian states, you will see plates made out of banana leaves. So banana leaves are served, and food is served on top of it. So it's every aspect of the banana tree is used.
Exactly. This is so interesting. And if you go to African culture, they make bread and they make so many amazing things with banana. So it's so inspiring and so unique. But I wanted to, bring that, like, give the light to the different culture other than Persian or Greek or things like that. They were just like, this time it's about another culture. This time I'm gonna talk about like one thing that we don't appreciate much, which is a unique fruit and at the same time a different culture, which is Thai culture. So that's why I decided to do it, of course, in Roman style that I usually do. But at the same time, I challenged myself to play with colors, which I normally it's not easy for me, to be honest. I have the power of playing with dark colors a lot, but when it comes to colors like bright colors like green and pink and things like that, I have to learn more. So it was also an experience. It was something that I wanted to study, and I see whatever I create, I see it as a way of studying. So for me, it's not about perfection. It's about studying and about learning and just sharing stories. So a
Absolutely.
lot of things.
So even I experiment with new styles. If you see my work, there are you may not think of it as it done by a single artist. I'm always experimenting, trying new mediums, trying new styles, just a way to express my running thoughts in different styles. So have you tried abstract and other arts? Have you experimented, got out of the regular?
As a kid, I did, and I remember, if you remember, I said like, when I was a kid, many people actually helped me and cherished me during my art journey to say many beautiful things when it came to my work. Yes, they did, but also at the same time, some didn't. And I remember I used to do fluid art version, and the thing is, like, oh my God, there was one person that I used to go classes, and she told me, nah, this is not art. You shouldn't do fluid art and abstract version of playing with colors. So that gave me a really bad feeling. I felt like I'm not good enough, and what I've been doing, it's not good, and I should stop doing it. I felt really good playing with colors and combining and trying to make different ways of experiencing like how two mixed or three colors mixing with each other could give you actually different texture or even a different shape and layers and colors, of course. And so it was amazing for me. But at some point, I like probably listened to that person who told me it's not good and that's not art and I should stop doing it. So that moment, I just closed that door. But it's all the time. It's part of my life. Maybe when you asked me who's my favorite artist, and I said
Ah, Jackson
Jackson
Pollock.
Pollock, yeah, or even when I said like other, when I mentioned other artists, it's maybe it's because of that. Part of my heart still adores artworks of, let's say, Mark Rothko or Jackson Pollock or others.
So maybe you could pay a respect to them and create an abstract and mint it as an NFT.
Oh, who knows about future? Like, look at Damien Hirst. He has done so many crazy, amazing things that actually surprise many people, but yet he made that a spring version, and then he made the currency, and also he NFT'd that. So he again went to different styles, and that's the journey, right? That's if you go to like see other artists artworks. Let me bring a very well-known and famous name, like let's say Picasso. He started with a realism. He started with that, but look what happened to him when he got really old. And if you just put his artworks in different decades and compare them with each other, oh my God, it's quite a journey. So tell me, who knows what happens to me in 10 years or 20 or 30 years? I might do many crazy things, and I can't wait for it.
And we are totally looking forward to it.
Oh, thank you so much.
We'll be there in your journey and all through all the stages, and it already feels exciting.
I wish the same for you and everyone who's been listening to us. This is life, and we have to remind ourselves, like, okay, it's not only about this year. We have a journey to go. Of course, we don't know what happens in future, but even about now, we're not sure what's gonna happen. So I believe like we also have a long-term plan, but at the same time, we should just give time to explore things. So as I said, who knows, maybe one time I travel to Indonesia and one thing inspires me and I want to do something crazy. Look what happened to so many artists who travel to Morocco or other places, and they just lost their minds, and they have done so many extraordinary things at the same time. And there is one artist, it's called Mohammad Siah Qalam. It's an Iranian artist. He was living many centuries ago, and he was doing like normal Iranian illustrations, like Iranian miniature, but he traveled to China, and after that, he just lost his mind. He became another person, and you can see it in his artwork, because right after that, he started painting unique demon characters, and his colors, instead of becoming, he was painting in colorful ways of illustrations, but right after his travel, all of his artworks became like only creamish and dark, and only white, only three colors, that's it. And it was like, oh my God, only demons and devil characters. It's a quiet person. Like, you must check out his artworks. I'm gonna pronounce his name one more. Mohammad Siyah Qalam. I know his name is like quite long, but worth to try and find him. So
Zia is
yeah,
with a Z. Zia.
Siyah, it's Siah.
Oh, interesting.
So who knows? This girl who's actually talking to you in future, she might do many crazy things, and I'm up for it. I'm okay. I'm open for it, because I believe like this is what I've learned from history. This is why I'm so proud that once I studied art history, because there's so many things that you cannot predict, and you just have to just go with it and accept them. And you see that actually in Chinese style, that they many times they try to show, like in older schools they show like nature as big as it is, and how little we human are. So the nature is huge, and we cannot do anything when it comes to nature. And that's why they show off all the trees and the seas and everything. They focus on nature more than humans. And this is so beautiful. But yet, me as someone who is figurative, I like respect that opinion. But at the same time, I believe like humanity is also really important, especially for our time. So maybe this kindness that we see in blockchain community, maybe we should focus on it as well, and maybe we should somehow mix our artwork with this kindness and those human who actually support us, because Tame, I believe like many people, yes, invest on us, but at the same time they actually love to help others, and we cannot deny that, and this is so beautiful. And for someone who has heard many times while working with group of people, I feel like this time I felt safe working in such an environment, being around and surrounded with people who actually trying to help others. So for me, it's like really beautiful and such an amazing journey. Of course, I know that good and bad people, you can find them anywhere in blockchain or outside blockchain, like everywhere, of course. But I can't wait for things that are going to happen to us, and I believe there will be a dark tunnel in future, but at the end there will be a light. So I'm looking forward to that light and see what is after that dark tunnels.
Absolutely, absolutely. So wonderful to hear all that. I think it's now time to open the stage for our listeners to ask question. Behzad has been listening for a long time, and we have
We have
Udvair as
Ifa.
well.
They both are very dear friend of us, Bezad and Ifa. Yeah, if they want, yeah, I'm up. I'm not sure how. What is their situation? Maybe they're working and maybe they're not able to talk. But
Until
if
they come
they,
up, I'll ask you another question. So, Behzad and Ofia, if you want to come, you can come in anytime. Until then, I have a question for you. So, I have seen there's a lot of good community in NFT community, and it's uh, everyone is helping each other. Everyone is happy in seeing other person's growth. How do you compare this with before NFT time? Because I have heard one artist say from US that it was very competitive. People fighting for spots to get into an art gallery and things like that. So how you compare both of these?
people have different experience, to be honest. If we want to be like, talking about the whole situation, people have different experience. I believe in that. But for me, it wasn't such a good experience before, because as I said, like at least where I was living, galleries didn't appreciate the way of seeing my arts, and they didn't see, and they couldn't find a place for it. um After some time, when I started sharing my artworks with you know, international exhibitions, attending for those contests, I felt no, they like it. And some they want me to be part of them. So that was good. That was really nice. And many of my collectors are not Iranian or not based on, the actual gallery. But to be honest, in this 10 months journey of being involved with NFTs, I've seen many people who actually respect me and my works and appreciate what I've been doing. Um, you should have a unique taste, because I know many people maybe don't appreciate this type of arts, but those who do, they they not only collect one, they have maybe collect two or even more. That happened to me many times. Like my collectors, many of them have collected more than one of my artworks. So um in terms of range of collectors, I'm not the one who can talk much, because many of my collectors love to get more than one pieces of me. So I came to this conclusion that you see good and bad things here as well. This is, of course, another word, and we are in the beginning, but also many people help each other. So I've seen many things, especially in Persian communities. I would say, like, there's so many people with kind hearted, but at the same time, since many people haven't seen kindness, maybe it's a bit hard for them to believe like someone is here just to help them, just to, yeah, sharing things for free. Sometimes it's hard for them to believe that. So it takes time for people to synchronize themselves with the whole situation, but there is still time, I believe, for them to find out more about NFTs, about blockchain and web3s and etc. But my experience was really good. I was invited to several exhibitions on metaverse. I had the opportunity to have exhibitions on Decentraland and actually crypto voxels, and I'm going to have another one on crypto voxel very soon, in few days, after, like, in 6th of January, if I'm not mistaken. um it's a group exhibitions, and they actually came to me and said that. So I really, really appreciate it so much, for the people who actually feel like they should have exhibitions with others with different styles. And yeah, even in our community with Bored Ape Ladies, there's so many artists with different styles and unique ones, but we all gather in one project and we try to, appreciate each other and value each artwork. Is so beautiful, and there's so many talented and kind-hearted people. So for me, it's still something really beautiful, even though I've had some hard times with some people, because in communities you might see this is something that I don't want to just mention about goodness and kindness and things, but we have to mention about the reality. There could be people who try to stone you, who try to somehow not helping you to continue your journey. It's not just about a flower and birds singing. It's not like that. You gonna have some tough time. There might be times you cannot sell your artworks. There might be a time that people might actually DM your collectors and say bad about you to your collectors. Things could happen, especially when you become an influencer in NFT community. Many weird things can happen. But at the same time, I must say, keep your heart pure and believe in yourself and have the persistence. And if you believe like this is you are, and this is whatever you do is good enough, please continue doing so, and try to grow as well. Try to grow. This is really important, to growing and learning more. But at the same time, believing, you have to make a balance between all of these things. This is just some suggestion that even though the time that I experienced these things are not very long, but I wanted to share this. And I think during the hard times, these thoughts of a beautiful future is on the way honestly really helped me. And there are people who actually appreciate your talent And if you have a time of not if you're having a hard time of not be able to selling your artworks, you have to give it time. um, Maybe many people haven't seen your artworks, or maybe they don't know your stories. You have to give them your stories, and hopefully in future you will find people who appreciate your artworks. You will find your own tribe, your own kind of people. So yeah.
Wow, that was so wise. You actually answered my next question. So that was going to be on tips on selling artwork. So you mentioned be have your own style, be original. You might it might take time to reach a collector, but find your own tribe. You also portrayed a reality about everything, how everything is not so rosy, and only an experienced artist who has been in this field for so long can have suggested that. So what else could you suggest on selling and getting viewed by collectors or reaching out to collectors for young artist or budding artist?
To be honest, Tamme, in March when I joined the NFT community, we have done several crazy things because we honestly didn't know what to do. And it was like we wanted to, everyone just told us, like, you have to go to Twitter and be like, do your own best there and things like that. And we were just trying to do so. But we used to tag collectors. We used to like DM them. We used to do many crazy things. I remember, and I'm not really proud of those things by tagging, of course. Thank God no one blocked me, but I have some friends who got blocked by collectors. These are just some moments, and I just don't want to show, as you said, I don't want to show just the good part and whatever we have done is amazing. No, it's not like that. We have done so many silly things as well. But and of course I believe it's a journey. So we grow and learn, right? But at this moment I believe like maybe involving with the community and with the other artists can actually help you to invest on your artworks, and showing that you are persistent in your way, that you are going to stay here. You're not gonna grab a cash and just leave. If you show that, if you prove that, I think they will value you and your artworks. And not only that, but also I believe like um, involving not only in NFT world but also outside. So you are a human. Make sure that you just do things that a human does. Live for real. So it's not just about no, promise. I promise you, if you do that, that would honestly help you. So when you live, like when you go to nature and travel, and at the same time do your work, uh, if you feel better about yourself, I'm sure that honestly that energy can actually affect on your work, and those people who come across your works and way as well. So I believe like all of these things, I know I make it philosophical. I'm sorry, but this is who I am. This is how I believe. Like, and I believe so much in energy. So I think like the positive energy that we have and bring with ourselves, and kindness we share with the community can actually get back to you as well. So when you share artworks of those people that you actually admire, or comment and talk with them, or even this culture of good morning, good night, and good evening on Twitter, it's a way of communication. Many of artists are might be introverts, or they're not used to be in touch with others or talk with others. I am one of them. It wasn't easy. It's not, honestly. I have challenges. I have. And some days I just want to, take off and just be in my own cave with my own painting, right, Tamay? If you remember our conversation about caves, that's me. But at the same time, I believe like when you feel okay, please be in touch with other artists. But because you don't know who could be your collectors. Many artists also collect artworks, and you can also collect artworks. So this is about not just taking, also about giving. So it's something, it should be mutual. And if the community finds out like you are here to stay and you wanna be a better version of you, I believe they appreciate you and your talent and your work.
Wow. Thank you so much for all your insights. That being said, we have reached 2.5 hour mark, and it was amazing talking to you. I'm going to play some battle cries for that.
Oh my God. I'm so much looking forward to it in our, in your podcast, of course, to listen again to this 2.5 hours conversation. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me over. And I had quite a wonderful time talking to you.
Wow, I feel the same. Feelings are very mutual. I'm so glad you agreed to come, and you're so spontaneous about this, and you shared everything very freely, like just giving away all your experiences, knowledge, insight, and so many amazing stories and facts from history. So all that was totally pure joy, amazing fun, and you are our honor as being the first talk show guest of Rocklaz. So you'll always be remembered in the history of this podcast. and and yes, thanks for coming. And all to my listeners, if you like what Gloria said, Golara said, and if this podcast has got value to you, please check out a link tree. Follow her on Twitter, on Instagram, buy her NFTs. You'll be a part of her journey throughout the life as an artist. So, yes, thank you so much once again for coming. And have a wonderful week, wonderful evening. And I'll shill some my stuff as well. So, guys, if you like this podcast and like what we are doing, I am Tanmay Shah. Do check out and support us by buying our NFTs. You can check out Laura Ginberga's artworks as well. All the links are in the show notes description. And join us for the next speaker and the next episode on Clubhouse. And stay in touch. And good night, good morning, good evening. You all are amazing. Have a good time. Have a great day. Thank you, Golara, once again. Thanks to all the audience.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.